Alright, check it out. In this video we're going to be going over the process of making a two-color decal. This is basically the process where you can cut down one color of a design and then apply it on top of another color so you get two colors in the same sticker. For myself, I had to downsize a little bit on my printing capabilities, so this is going to be an alternate to my screen printing and whatnot. Still be able to get some pretty cool two-color effects, and hopefully the printing time doesn't take too long. So I figured a throw-up design with a fill color and maybe even a force field would be a nice trial for this process. So I actually went into my black book, sketched a little something out, and then brought it into Photoshop and just made all the colors black. There wasn't much touch-up that I ended up needing. For registering both layers, I figured it'd be easiest if I actually added a force field. That'd give me a little bit extra tolerance with moving the black layer around, and so that in the event that it's a little bit misaligned, it still is going to print and look alright. After blowing up that force field, I had to make a form of registration marks between these two layers. So I figured a simple rectangle box would be a nice way to align it in all directions, as well as keep a little bit of consistency and not add a ton of time on the plotter. When actually plotting this image, I did two colors at once. So I did a section that had the black vinyl on it. Below that, I did a sheet of the colored vinyl, so you can get both cuts out in the same time and, keep a little print process going. Moving into the plotter process now, I'm going to be doing this in the Silhouette Studios. I'm going to be running off a Silhouette Cameo. I have an entire separate video dedicated to the whole process of working through Silhouette Studio and getting your design plotted out on some vinyl. So if you need any tips or helpful tricks on that, I'll leave that linked in the description as well as on screen, so you can get a little refresh on some of the tools I'll be using. So simply bringing the image in, I was able to select the entire area that I wanted to cut, and then I was able to add a threshold layer on top of that to discern whether I wanted the background or the fill color selected. So a 45 percentile threshold worked great to highlight just the outline, and what I went from there is then I select to trace both the inner and outside layers so that it would get a cut both on the interior of the outline as well as on the exterior of that black outline. Second to that, then using a higher threshold, I was able to also select that green backdrop, and that allowed me to have a border cut all the way around the design. I only selected the outside cut for the green section so that it would leave the whole center intact, and that way I can just lay the black layer right on top. Both these thresholds were able to see that black rectangle for registration, so they'll be easily aligned later down the road. Now we're pretty much good to load this up onto the plotter and hit print. So once your plotter's gone through the process of cutting all these exterior lines out and then also cutting those fill lines out, you can just go through and weed the stickers. So now that both the outline layer in my case and the fill layer are weeded, I can then go and add transfer tape to my topmost layer. Now if you have more than just two layers, it's also important to plan out which layers are going to be on top of the next one. You'll actually be applying those layers in order as you want to see them. So in my case, the black layer is going to be the topmost layer, so that's why I'm going to be adding that transfer tape to it. Once my transfer tape is added, I can pull the backing totally off that sticker, and you'll no longer need the backing of the black in this case. Now taking your time by using the transfer tape to also peek through and align those rectangles, I was able to get the registration of both layers right on top of one another. Slowly press down those rectangles first to make sure they're perfect, and then slowly press down the top layer onto the next layer. If you need to repeat this for multiple layers, feel free to just now remove the backing off that second layer and apply it to a third. Now some tips on the registration is I found I wasn't really able to manage a sheet much bigger than maybe 6 by 12 inches. That allowed me enough space to peel it off and also keep the alignment consistent between the most extremes, whether that be the rightmost area to the furthest leftmost top area. I wasn't having too much skew in where the design was laying up with the back, and it also allowed me to ensure I was handling it properly and things weren't folding over and getting stuck too early. I found this to be a nice medium between the high efficiency of getting 10 designs down at once and ensuring that the results were consistent and up to quality. But even start out aligning one to one to get a little feel for the process, and then scale up a little bit and get 4 or 5 designs in each sheet. The overall printing time process for this was a little bit stretched out, definitely not the most fast or efficient, but I will say the raised quality and kind of that three-dimensional texture that you're able to get because of the multiple layers does add a super unique level to these stickers. With normal printing vinyl inks that I've used, you don't really have much differential in the thickness of the sticker or anything with that top printed color, but here you're definitely able to see that raised bit, and it gives a little bit more depth to your sticker. I was actually able to do some custom ones on some shell vinyl material, which will add some super robustness to these on the streets, but also keep up with something, you know, a little bit unique. And then sometimes when printing is a little bit harder on a material, this kind of opens up an ability to get, you know, a two-color effect when you might not be able to regularly. I found that those registration marks worked pretty flawlessly across the board. I did have some mishaps with, you know, sticking something down too early and it wasn't perfectly aligned, and I did find sometimes when I wasn't even using the rectangles, like I was just manually aligning one design down onto one piece, that I was still able to get some really sweet results. This by all means is a little bit more interactive of a process than, you know, just a one color vinyl plotted image, but at the same time you're getting these really cool results, and I really like the way they work. Having that big solid backdrop in my design case as well is going to allow that black to stick a little bit better. I definitely would be a little bit fearful with some of these thinner black sections that if there wasn't a full sticker underneath it, or if there wasn't, you know, something that it could actually grab onto a little bit better, and that you had areas that skinny on just a single decal, they might fall off or might get scraped off if the area has a bit of wear. But sticking right to the vinyl surface, vinyl sticks great to other pieces of vinyl, and that allows the backdrop of my colored surface in this case to be the full application on the surface, and then the black just sticks right to that. I definitely recommend always doing a little bit extra research on the process, maybe combine my process with some other people's here online. That way you can perfect and create your own process for making these two-color decals. I spent the greater part of a day putting this together, and I'll definitely be printing more of these in the future. It was a great effect, and I'm definitely happy that I was able to, you know, add it to my arsenal of capabilities. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to spray that like button or consider joining the crew by subscribing. I post a wide range of content here on YouTube, so be sure to check some of those other videos out. That's gonna do it for me, guys. Peace.